Hey guys, my name is PocH. Welcome to my video and also my channel. So today I'm gonna give you 5 tips on crafting and selling. So just before we start, I would like to give you some of my background. So I've been playing Albion Online for about 3 weeks now, and I've made over 700-800,000 in silver. I know that might not be a lot, but I've just want to share some of the tips and some of the tricks that I use when I am selling and when I'm crafting in Albion Online. And it's not that hard, believe me. The first tip is to use the buildings as the starting towns. They're the towns that are directly next to your spawning location. Spawning location, starting town. There are 5 different starting locations, which means there are 5 different starting towns in Albion Online. The buildings in these towns are free of charge, but you can only craft and refine up to tier 3. For example, the base cost to refine a chestnut plank or a knit cloth, well, it's not shown here, but it's 5 silver each in other places. But it's free here. And it also applies to all the weapons, armors, and tools that you might want to craft. On a side note though, usage fees start to appear at tier 3, yet the resource return rate apply to all tiers. So instead of refining 100 birch logs and get 100 birch planks, why not refine 100 birch logs and get 117 birch planks out of it? Well, it might not seem much later on in the game, but when you're just starting out, every resource. So once you have created some items, created some tools, and then you start selling them in the auction house in the starting towns, and then you feel that, well, they're not sold at a high enough price and they're not sold out quick enough for me to make. If you're selling them at the towns, 2 maps next to the starting towns, well, the traveling time is pretty considering that you might not even have a mount to start with. So the second tip that I would give you is to, well, join a guild. Use the buildings there. They're also free of charge like the buildings in the starting towns, but the advantage is, as I've mentioned with the scenario that I've built up, is that the guild islands are usually set up in a busier city, hence a busier auction house. It will cut you down on traveling time if you want to sell your items at the town, but you can't afford to craft there because of the usage fees. You will also have access to guild auction house where you can usually buy items at a cheaper price compared to the auction houses elsewhere. So I'm just gonna show you my the guild island of the guild that I've joined. So I can craft ladder up to tier 5, stone blocks up to tier 6, bars up to tier 5, cloth up to tier 5, and also planks up to tier 5. So joining a guild, and it's also fun just to talk with other real human beings in the game, some other people that have played this game longer than you, so you can ask them when you have some questions. You don't know how to craft something, you don't know where to gather that resource, or just all of the stuff, all the questions that you have, you can always ask in the guild. And of course there will always be 1 or 2 guild members that are more than willing to answer your questions and to guide you through Albion Online. So the third tip is do a lot of calculations. So you do want to sell the materials as they are to the auction house, or you do want to craft them and then sell the finished product. So this part is the one that I like to do the most, because the lowest price in the auction house for every item changes every second. Items being put up, items being bought. So let's look at the tools, shall we? Let's look at the adepts tools. And they actually take 6 pine planks and 2 steel bars to make. So let's check the price of the pine planks. They are 175. And the steel bars, they are at 126. So if you do some calculations, the cost of goods sold, if you were to make them into a tool, is roughly 1300 silver. Now let's look at the tools then. Let's just look at the cheapest tools you can make. So of course you don't want to make Adept's Axe because the price is lower than the cost of goods sold, which means you will not make any profit out of it. So it will be more profitable if you just sell the planks and the bars by themselves. So the fourth tip is check the auction house a lot. Auction house is essentially where you'll be selling most of your items at. well, besides going on global chat and asking people to buy your stuff, but auction, yeah, basically auction house. It goes hand in hand with tip number 3, and it serves actually 2 purposes. So I'll demonstrate them in the next 2 scenarios. The first scenario is, we just look at the tools, right? So, and there are 5 different tools here that all cost the same amount of silver if the resources are sold separately, but they're all sold at different prices in the auction house. So we did check the skinning knife, which is at 1348 or 49, and the depth axe at 1380. So how about the other tools then? So let's check the pickaxe. It's at 1480. The sickle, it's at 1550, and the stone hammer is at 1498. So if you look at the price of those 5 tools, of course you'll want to make the depth sickle, because you can sell the finished product at the highest price compared to the second scenario is, well, if you tell me, I want to craft better items, I don't want to stuck in tier 4 and craft different items every time, I cannot focus on one item and then advance them. Well, for tools, unfortunately it's like this, but for weapons and armors, there will be at least 3 different basic variations to all the weapons and armors that you can create. For example, let me show you here. In the crossbow family, the basic ones are Adept's crossbow, Adept's heavy crossbow, and Adept's. Well, as you've seen in the tools, the prices of these weapons are usually different in the auction house. Well, but you can craft any of these to get the fame points that you need to get to tier 5. I believe it goes without saying that you should always craft the one with the highest price. So, and here comes the last tip, tip number 5. I'm not sure what to call it, so I'll just describe it here, and now let me know what do you think this tip should be called. So this tip is for when you have a lot of silvers. So I have 445,000 there, and I just want to make more money than this situation allows. The tip is to buy out the lower price items and then sell them at higher price, so that you can also sell your crafted items at a higher price. As always, make calculations on whether it will be worth it, because to set up a sell order, you will have to pay 1% of the price that you set at, and the auction house will take 2% of your proceedings. So let's do an example here on the skinning knife. So let's refresh. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skinning knives, 1,394, and the next, if I buy out all 8 of these skinning knives, I can sell my skinning knives, all of my skinning knives, at 1575, which will still be the lowest. So that's the tip, because then now you can make at least about 200 silver more on each skinning knife, which accumulates to 1600, and you can also make profit out of the knives, the skinning knives that you just bought off. So let's do that. So when I was buying out the skinning knives, I realized that I have some skinning knives here that are sold at 1700s, and there are only 3 other ones. Yes, only 3 other ones that are sold at a higher, lower price than 1775. So I bought them as well. So I have 8 skinning knives here, and then I just bought 11 more. Let's take all of them. And then let's sell them at 1775. And there you go. That's how you make more money than the situation allows you. Just buy out the lower price item, and then just so that you can sell your item. So that's the end of today's video. I gave you 5 tips on how to start out on crafting and selling items in the auction house. And I know some people might say that, PocH, why don't you just fulfill the buy order so you can get the silver right away? But most of the times, the buy orders, they're actually at the lower price than the items there are in the auction house. So it's always never worth it unless you need some quick cash to do the buy orders. And that is officially the end of the video. If you like this video and would like to see more videos, please click like and subscribe, so I'll just make more videos on Albion Online and the things that I've learned to share with you guys. So have a nice day, guys. Bye.